Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic guest. But please, before we start, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody you know this is going on. I'm bringing on indie creators just for you, right? And one more thing, please, if you want to help support me, support the channel, go check out the Oswald Chronicles, currently on Indiegogo. So, without further ado, let's bring on our guest. Mr. Anibal Arroyo.
How you doing?
How you doing, there?
Pretty good.
All right. Now, we were just talking about this, right? Because I was just about to call you Annabelle.
You almost messed it up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I kind of did,
over that.
right? So for everybody involved, how do you pronounce your name correctly?
Okay, there's two versions. A lot of people I grew up with call me Anibal, and it's very similar to Hannibal, like Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal the Conqueror, but without the H. And my family and other inner circle people call me Anibal in Spanish. Right. That's it. It's not Annabelle.
You're right. There's no E.
There's no E. Exactly.
There's no E at the end. Exactly. There's no E. Yeah. It's A. It's like Hannibal.
For years and years, I suffered, man, through that school roll call. Annabelle, is she here? Oh, man. Humiliation, bro. Humiliation.
Right. Yeah, I was just telling him it's because in Spanish, Anibal, sounds very manly.
Yes.
You understand? But in English,
when you throw that
Annibal,
E,
Hannibal.
No. I've even gone so far as to like consider legally changing it, but it's like, after 40 plus years, am I gonna say, okay, now you got to call me, I don't know, Carlos or something? You know what I mean? Stop calling me. It just didn't make sense to me. I was like, forget it. They just learn to say my name, and that's it. That'll be it.
Yeah. Well, you just had to add the H. Then you would have been just Hannibal, and I would have been in with it.
Yeah, right. I'm actually okay with Hannibal. That's kind of cool too. I can let that one slide.
Gotcha. Now, I know you're an artist. I know you're a writer, you're an independent creator, right?
Yes.
So, all right, let's start at the beginning. This is one of my basic questions I like asking everybody.
Okay.
So, what was the book? Like, we all had that first comic, right? We all grew up as kids. We had that first comic. Okay, I love the comic. All right, whatever. But what was the comic that got you to say, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is the type of work I want to produce?
Definitely. I would have to say, I kind of got into comics a little bit later, I guess, compared to some people. I didn't get into comics until about maybe sophomore year. I don't know. That's still kind of young. But the comic book that got me was issue, I don't remember what it was, 3-something of The Amazing Spider-Man by Todd McFarlane.
Okay.
And it was because 2 classmates of mine brought in the comic book. I can't remember which issue it was. And it's funny, I went and bought it right away. But when I opened those pages, I just was like, God damn, this is so cool. This is amazing. Like right then and there, I just started creating my own characters and stories and like till this day, I'm still creating characters and stories. I have like multi-universes full of characters and stories that I've been writing and creating ever since that day that I discovered, I had that love for it.
Right. Oh, that's cool. It's a huge investment in time,
right,
and in thought, and and just in creation. I know it's what keeps me sane.
It keeps me crazy, actually.
No, it keeps me
in a
sane.
good way. In a good way.
Well, no, because I'm crazy when I go to work. What keeps me sane is the thought of coming back to do my actual work.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, that's the part that's like, that person today doesn't necessarily need to make it back home. No, let's not do that. Please get involved. Let's go home. Let's just write our books. It was that sort of thing for me. So, all right. We got somebody called Michael San Martino.
Oh, it's funny. We mentioned work. One of my coworkers. Really good guy. He's also a creator himself. He actually just finished the very first issue of his long, ongoing, struggling project to release. It's called, what is it called? The Technogods. Why did I forget that? It's such a cool name. Technogods. I actually did the cover for his second issue. I can't really reveal that. He's going to reveal that when he's ready. But yeah, really, really good guy. Cool project. Can't wait to see it.
All right, cool. Nice to meet you, Michael. Good to have you in. So Annabelle, what's your big project that you're currently working on?
Well, currently, I just wrapped up on some commissions, including the cover I did for Mike. I got two more that I'm kind of, mulling over, but my main objective at the moment happens to be homework. I'm taking some courses. I'm trying to finish my bachelor's, and I'm taking like art courses. So a lot of my artwork now in present time is related to the classes I'm taking. And it's funny, tonight I actually just started inking something for myself, like a very rare moment. I very rarely have time to just do something for myself. This is a piece I've had for like maybe 2 years in pencils, just looming around, and I just started inking it tonight. It's for like a creator-owned project I have. It's called Diecast.
Nice.
I've actually advertised it online a couple of times, and just the timing with something always fell through on it. At one point, I had hired an artist for it, and he basically, he pulled the slip on me. He started handing me stuff that I was just like, I know he could do better than this. And secretly, he had another job, and they gave him more money, so I had to let him go. And the drama never stops. But yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing now when it comes to any artwork. And anything that comes my way, anything that, if the money's right, I'll take it on.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Now, so you found Todd McFarlane early on in high school, right?
Right.
So now, is that when you started drawing, or were you already in the process of becoming an artist?
Oh no, I've been drawing since I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil. I remember even in like kindergarten or grade school or whatever, they tell us to write the alphabet or whatever, and I'd be drawing like characters, and I'd make like the A would be like a house, and the B would be like a person. That was me. I was that kid that all the other kids went to whenever they needed something drawn. Like, oh hey, Annibal can draw. Hey, can you draw this for me? That was me.
Gotcha. Now, did you go to any art schools, or were you just
I did actually. I attended my freshman year. I attended a Catholic school. I went to Catholic school most of my life. I attended a Catholic high school, which is now closed. It's called in Paterson, New Jersey, where I was born and raised. It was called Paterson Catholic. I went there for a year, and then I transferred over to a newly opened school called Rosa Parks School of Fine and Performing Arts. I was actually a member of the second graduating class of that school. It had literally just opened up. So when I was there were only freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. There was no seniors yet. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. It was really good just to be around like-minded creative people. I always compare it to like Fame. I don't know if you remember the show. Kind of like that. They had dancers and singers and musicians, and just like a really perfect atmosphere to kind of hone your abilities.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, what type of courses did you take there? Did you take like illustration?
I gravitated towards commercial art just because I heard, the word commercial just had like the money sign. When you think fine, for me, when I thought I was more of a fine artist by nature, but the word commercial art was just like, that sounds like you can make money from that. So I gravitated more towards that. And it turns out I was a natural for it. So yeah, that's my major was commercial art.
All right, cool. Now, after you left high school, right?
Right.
Did you do any other? Did you take any other?
Oh yeah. I could take you through like my whole education.
Yeah. Because I heard something, but I don't want to speak to it. I want you to talk about it. And,
I went to school. I did the community college thing for a little while, in and out here and there. I took art courses there, here and there. I kind of, I was what they call part of Generation X, Gen Xers. So I was kind of like one of those, blowing in the wind, kind of, just chilling kind of personalities or whatever. And eventually in my mid-20s, I ended up at the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Illustration, which is probably what you were referring to. That's when I decided I kind of wanted to take the art thing serious. I said, let me just stop slacking off and try to make something out of this and try to get educated in its career. That was actually the first time. I had been drawing characters and doing my own thing for a while, but that was the first time I was really, really exposed to how comics got made, the big papers and the everything behind the scenes that I had no knowledge about. I learned at that school. I attended for a year. I got a 1-year certification. It's actually, I believe it still is a 3-year school. And at the end of the year, part of me felt like I wanted to work professionally. So I started sending out samples. I ended up sending like 1 sample or 2 and I got rejected and I never sent anything else out. And then I just kind of veered off in a completely different direction. I joined the military, and I was part of the Air Force for like the next 6 years. And I did nothing with comics. I like on my off time while I was in the service, I doodle, I sketch or whatever, and kind of, you know, keep myself entertained when I was bored. But as soon as I finished my time and I got out, I got right back in. You know, that's actually when I started hitting the convention scene, and that's when I met the guys, and you know, the whole indie comics and self-publishing thing kind of started for me there.
Gotcha. So you never saw the thing where Todd McFarlane said that he got like 200 or 300 rejection slips before he got an actual job?
I've seen it over and over. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, that it took, I don't know, like the rejection letter I got, it kind of set me straight in terms of like where I was ability wise and what I was willing to put into to improve at the time. And I'll tell you, it wasn't much. Like I had so many other things going on at that time in my life where I was like, I couldn't see myself just sitting down at a desk and drawing all the time. Like it's still, I guess I was still kind of in the stage of thinking it was like a hobby. Like in my household, I grew up like in a very like, I guess old school kind of machista Puerto Rican house where it was like, okay, you can draw. Ay, qué lindo. Look, mira lo que hace. They never took that stuff serious. You know, it was not like, it wasn't like, okay, good, you can make money. It was just like, oh, you know, he doodles. And it was more like my dad wanted me to kind of get into like, if he had it his way, I would have been like a boxer or a mechanic or a plumber, you know. So he would always tell me that, you know, that's art stuff is, you know, he was like, not for it at all. So I'm not blaming, but like it's different when you have the support or the push to say, yeah, you can do it rather than that's not, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, it kind of, I bought into it, you know, at that point in time, put it that way. It took me a couple more years to actually say, you know what, I can make something out of this. I can do this just because, you know, such and such doesn't think I can or doesn't want me to. I believe I can, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. My parents, they never encouraged me, but they never discouraged me.
I gotcha.
Either.
I gotcha.
They just say, go do what you do.
Yeah.
You know, my father was an entrepreneur. He owned a grocery store. He was a bodega, right? So bodega.
Yeah, classic Latino
career. Classic Puerto Rican stuff, you know.
La bodega.
Exactly, la bodega.
My grandfather had a bodega, so yeah, it's you know.
Right. So you know how it is.
Yeah.
But he had a couple of them. He had a bar. He had all this stuff. Nice. You know. And you know he was willing to give me money to do the comic stuff. He was like, I'll give you $10,000, whatever you go do, whatever. I never touched his money. I raised the money on my own. I did it on my own. And I think that's the thing that surprised him. And I guess in some way he respected me more.
Right.
Because of it. Because he saw all this stuff that I did, and he was just like, how did he do that? You know, because I created all these books, and we printed thousands and thousands of books. We were selling them. I had a group of like 9 dudes that I was with. You know, it was crazy. You know, so you know how it is. But yeah, man, I know exactly what you mean, man. I was like I said, I wasn't discouraged, but I wasn't encouraged either.
Well, here for me, it actually, I wouldn't sway. Like, even though, you know, it wasn't encouraged, it was more discouraged. Right. Like I would hide my stuff. Like my dad sometimes would come home angry or whatever, and you know he would just kind of crap all over my artwork. So I started hiding it and just doing it. You know what I mean? And it got to a point where he just figured if he couldn't, you know, can't beat him, join him type of thing. By the time I met the guys at Crazy, I had turned his mind around about it. He started believing in me at that point. He actually, like you, he offered me money to go do it. He said, is this what you really want to do? You know, do you need funding? Do you want me to, you know, I can back you up? And I said, you know, of course, the chivalrous thing or whatever. No, Dad, I'd rather do it on my own merit, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you were to ask me now, would I take the money now? Do I regret that decision? I'd have to think about it, man, because it's been more than 10 years in, and I'm still kind of, you know, we're all basically in the same boat here. Nobody's, you know, nobody's a millionaire off of this stuff yet, so we're still struggling, you know. But again, you know, like I was happy knowing that I was able to show him that I was serious enough about it to turn his mind around and to get him to believe in me. So that was enough for me, you know.
No, I got you, man. I got you. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. My mother, I would drop off my comics at my parents' house. And my mother, she would tell me, she was like, when are you going to bring more comic books? And I was like, why? She was like, because your father likes to read them.
Wow. Damn, that's like you're speaking Chinese to me right now, bro. That's totally unheard of in my house.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
awesome,
man.
though. That's great.
Yeah, I was just like, okay,
That's
now
awesome.
I kept bringing them, but yeah.
That's
But I
incredible.
mean, so let's talk about the guys because a lot of people don't know these guys.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about the Crazy Comics crew.
Crazy guys, yes.
Right. We're talking about the crazy guys. So who did you meet? Tell me.
I went on maybe 2 convention outings right after I got out of the service, like as soon as I could, with my portfolio, which I still had my portfolio from when I was at the Kubert School. The first one I went to was I think it was at the church when they used to do the Big Apple Comic Con at the church or something. I forget the exact location. It might have been a hotel or a church.
It was
and it was a church, wasn't it? At one point, wasn't it an old church?
It was a church, and there was another one. I think one time they did it at like what is it, a lodge? Like one of these. Yeah.
It was not what it was like. It was the very early days. Anyhow, the first convention, they were actually at this convention at this Big Apple Comic Con, and I took a friend of mine and a lady friend. And long story short, I went with the guy from the military who used to, sketch and doodle and stuff, who didn't even really want to go. He just went because, I was like, come on, let's go, strength in numbers, blah, blah, blah. And the reaction he got from his stuff that was just doodles was like amazing compared to what I got. I got crapped on basically, and I'm the one, trying to do it seriously. He didn't even want to be there. And I was like, well, goddamn. So a lesson I learned there was just when you're going to do something like that, it's like when you're going to go talk to a girl, never send your buddy to talk to her. What's going to happen? She's going to fall for him instead, right? We all know that one. So I learned to just go by myself.
Right.
So the second convention I went to like that was the one everybody, we all laugh about, the one in Secaucus in New Jersey, where it was a Star Wars themed convention, and here's Sam, George, and Jonathan trying to push their indie comic with all these guys dressed as stormtroopers and Luke Skywalker. And I just sat there like watching. I'm like, wow, these guys really don't belong here. I'm like, neither do I, but whatever. I'm just walking around.
Well,
and
once you get to really know them, you'll really realize they don't belong anywhere.
That's the beauty of them, right? That's part of their charm.
Exactly.
But long story short, I approached the table, and we got to talking, and we gelled really well. And they were, I was like, these guys are doing it, doing what I want to be doing. They're around my age, why the hell not? So we ended up linking up, and I ended up working working on one of their titles, the one written and created by Jonathan Syfast called Street Journal. So that was actually my very first taste of indie comics work.
Right.
And work for free, basically. I was still wet behind the ears, and green, as they say, and I just agreed to it. I just wanted the experience and the excitement of being behind that table. So money didn't even matter to me at that point,
I mean, look, I've been doing it since 91, 92, right? So money. It's funny, like, man, I could okay. So I've been working on the Oswald Chronicles for 12 years now, maybe.
Wow.
With the same artist.
Wow.
I'll tell you right now, I'm sure I'm in the hole for at least a good 70, 80K. Now, mind you, some of that is offset by what I've made on Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Yeah.
But I'm in the hole. But it's my very expensive hobby. I look at it like this. You have women, they like buying their expensive shoes.
Right.
You got some dudes who like collecting knives and guns and all this stuff that dudes like to collect. I got my comic books. That's how I look at it.
So okay, you're not breaking even, obviously, here, but are you making money back? You're selling your books, right? Like when you get them, right? Okay, see, this is where I kind of have to disagree with you on the way you're looking at it. To me, anything that brings you any kind of monetary exchange becomes more than just a hobby. It's now a business. It may not be, a big booming successful business, but to me, it can be categorized as technically a business. And you might not see it that way, but if again, monetary exchanges are being made for your product, it's a business.
Oh no, I agree. I agree it's a business. I mean, you should see how I grow people when it comes down to business things, but I've come to the point where I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm not going to become rich off of this stuff.
I understand.
But I've gotten it to a point where it's paying for itself.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean I'm not pushing to go beyond that.
Of course.
You know, that's the next step. That's to keep pushing. You know, and I have a business plan set up, you know, to push beyond that. But it is, you know, it's difficult. You know, it's an indie comic. You know how it is. You've been there. You've been to those shows. You know.
Yeah.
It's tough. Now, you said Little Steve's Closet. That was your first comic that you completed on your own.
That was actually my very first solo indie published project, and that actually stemmed from, again, an old arts high school English Comp 1 or 2 class project. You know, I went to an art school, so you know it was all related. Something I had done way back when I was like 16 that I just, you know, I was working with the guys on their stuff, and I was with them. You know, at first, initially, I worked with Crazy Comics on Sam's book, Forbidden. I did about 3 issues of that. Then I jumped onto Jonathan's book. I did about 3 issues of that. And at no point in time did I ever make the time to put time into my own stuff. You know, I do little stuff here on the side, and then I'd pick up a commission or working on somebody else's stuff. And it got me to saying, you know, I think it's about time I kind of concentrated on this thing, you know. And it was something that I had started before I met the guys. I had pages drawn and written and everything, but by the time I came back to it, I had grown so much artistically. I scrapped it about 3 times and started over, just because my style had evolved so much that it just wouldn't match up. Page 3 would not look like page 8. You know what I mean? It just worlds apart. So I had to scrap it, started from scratch. And then finally, around 2010 or 11, whenever it was, when we formed Mas, the guys kind of being around, you know, George and John, both writers, and they take it seriously. They go at it, made me realize, you know, I got to commit to this. And I was able to actually finish it out, just, you know, being in that atmosphere with, you know, other writers. So that was a good thing.
Now, those other books you did for Syfax and Sam, did they ever print those books?
Oh, yeah. Stuff went out. Oh, man. Sam doesn't play with that stuff. As soon as like one issue was, you know, the body was still cold, basically, you know, it was still warm, and you know, he was already, you know, pushing it out the door. Every issue that I did with Sam, it was issues 0, 1, and 2, I believe it was, for his Forbidden. All of that stuff got put. Actually, my very first printed, published anything was a poster that I did, like a promo poster for Forbidden, which I was so happy to see when it like it was colored, and I held it up. I'm like, oh my, I still have it somewhere here. It's like locked up in my files or whatever. And that it was actually, you know, for Sam's project Forbidden. And then with Street Journal for John and George, we did 3 issues of that, and then we did a compilation issue, you know, the whole graphic novel. And then things kind of, you know, we lost track, and like basically for me, I couldn't keep turning down paid jobs to work on something for free. It just became and I had already done that much into it, 3 issues into it. I said, you know what, let me reel back a little, and you know, I've had the time to kind of get, you know, my practice on or whatever, and let me see if I can make some money doing, you know, other things, and that basically kind of where the Street Journal ended for me, you know. And now with their re-release, I'm actually ending it on like a high note. I'm actually doing a piece for that. I don't know if they're gonna use it as a cover or you know, a centerfold or something, but yeah, that's my farewell officially to the Street Journal project. So
gotcha. Okay. Not the reason I ask is, like, as many times I bumped into you guys at shows, I don't have any of those books.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
that's
really.
So strange.
That is.
How could that be? You know, it's funny. I have an issue of the Oswald Chronicles, I think it is. I have no idea how it came into my possession. I don't remember, because we've known each other kind of through conventions and seen each other. But this is probably the most we've ever spoken. It's funny. It's not even in person. But I have a copy of that, and I'm like, I'm gonna read this one day. Like, I'm notoriously bad for that. Like, I have like a whole to read pile that goes like miles and miles. One day I'll get to it, but I don't even know how I got it. I must have bought it at a show or something. I'm assuming. Probably. But that's weird. You don't have any of ours. That's funny.
Well, I mean, I have like Russ. Right. Then I have some of the stuff. Well, I don't know. I gotta look, because I had a flood and I lost a bunch of stuff. But
that sucks.
Yeah. I can't even tell you, bro. Can't even tell you. But what is it? Because I had printed a bunch of stuff for Sam back in the day,
Right.
and yeah, and like I don't think I have any of that stuff. I don't know because that's a lot. That's a lot of the stuff. I mean, when we were doing Dreamweaver Press and we were like actually printing books and stuff,
Mhm.
I think we did 800 or 900 books for people, like individual titles. You know what I mean? And I
What did you
had
What did you print for Sam?
it was
Probably
it
like
was it was what
his
the one
stuff.
with the little girl, had a
Oh,
little girl on the cover.
Mandy Pandy, I think it is.
That
Mandy.
might have been it, and I think I
Ooh,
might have done one or two of the duty books.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I know I did the one with the little girl,
Okay.
and probably a couple of duty books. Yeah. So I got those, and like I said, I got Rust. Daphne picked up what's the duck? That
Wonder Duck.
Wonder Duck. Yes, she got a copy of Wonder Duck. Yes. You know, that's cool. But yeah, man. I mean, it's one of these things. It's just like trying to catch up. But but I mean, what are you looking forward to working on now? Because I know you're studying, you're doing all that stuff. But I mean, but what's like the next big project for you?
I definitely want to take time to finish out a script, like just
Mhm.
write it out, have it, even if it's just a first draft, rough or whatever. I have two that are, one is about halfway in. That would be the one I showed you, the
Mhm.
diecast, this one. And
Right.
quick funny story about that is, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. With this story, I'll give you the brief thing. He's kind of like, think about like Han Solo meets Bruce Willis meets Lobo. Okay, he's like
Mhm.
this intergalactic bounty hunter thing, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a straight up comedy, but it has comedic elements with a lot of action in it. Okay, so
Right.
as I'm writing this, the movie Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. Right, I
Mhm.
know nothing of the comic, nothing of the characters. There's this part in the movie where they have this character called the Benicio del Toro character. What is it called in the movie?
Oh yeah,
The Collector.
the collector. Yes.
Basically, that whole sequence was something I had written for this story. Not exactly, but so much so that I was like, people are gonna think I copied from the. So I, at that moment, I derailed. I was like, I can't continue. Ever since that, I haven't really written it. Like I had
Mhm.
I gotta rethink the whole, and that was about halfway through. That's the story I had the artist hired for
Right.
initially, that I told you that kind of blew me off and went to a higher
Mhm.
paying gig. And then the second story that I have, it's, I don't want to say it's half written. Maybe it's about a quarter in.
Mhm.
That's one it's called Gunmen. I actually started pages on that last year for a class I'm doing here at the college,
Mhm.
and with that one, it's more of like a slice of life kind of story where I get to kind of inject my own philosophies, my own point of view on the world we live in today, based through these characters. And it's more it's a character driven story. It's not superheroes and tights. It's basically a thinking man story. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's taken a lot of time out of me. I thought of the idea back in like 2014, 2015, and I've been writing it on and off ever since. I'd like to finish, if not both of those, at least one, preferably the
Mhm.
Gunman, just because it's an important time to get a story like that out now. I
Right.
feel, with the present state of the world.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I'm putting the art down in terms of, developing pages. I'll still come up with character design, that sort of thing. But the physical script, I want to have something physically there to to work from. That's
Right.
kind of what I'm focusing on.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's cool. I mean, now I'll ask you a process question. Now, I mean, you're a writer, you're an artist. Now, when you sit down and you create your stories, right? Obviously, you said you write out a full script. So, are you the type of writer that are you a pantser or a plotter? So, are you someone who sits down and you like say, okay, I want to get from point A to point B, and you have like little post-it notes and strings and all that stuff, or are you just what they call a pantser, which is someone who just sits down and you just start writing. You're like, all right, wherever I go, and that's whatever, and then I'll edit at the end.
It's funny. I've gone back and forth on like with diecast. I
Mm-hmm.
had a character I created back in high school that I just kind of, I was like, let me see who I could work on just for the hell of it. I pulled him out. He was going to be for an anthology, which I love doing. We could talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, I created the character and knew what he was going to be about, and then kind of build the world around him. Kind of like I just kind of jotted down notes here and there, his personality, this, that, and that. And I came up with the story and wrote down basically the gist of everything that's going to happen. I didn't have a clear direction as to how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to start this way. He was going to do this, that, and the other. And then this is the big finale. Boom. So I had that figured out. With Gunman, it was more like the idea, and actually the word gunman. Okay, let me rewind. The way I came up with it was, I'm on a family road trip up to Maine, Stephen King, where he lives, family road trip, and this song comes on. I don't remember if it was the hook of the song or the name of the song, the DJ, Gunman. And I was like, damn, that sounds like a really cool name for like a character or a story. And my wife asked me, she's like, what would it be about? And I just start telling her this, that, da, 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 da. I'm like, God damn, that's pretty good. I need to write this down. So I had the whole story figured out. Like by the time we made it to the campsite, I had it jotted down. When I came back home, I wrote it out, and I created scenes and things based off of that. So I already knew what was going to happen. And from what I wrote down, I did like a full thumbnail, a mini comic book, just everything that's going to happen. I knew specifically. The only thing missing is the dialogue, but I knew based on what I had written down what the mood of the panel was going to be. They're going to be arguing here. They're going to be smiling here. They're falling in love here. So all the dialogue, when I get to drawing that, would come as I do it, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that is considered like a full script. I'm not even.
I mean, you're running half and half.
I'm kind of, yeah. What I did learn, I heard somewhere, I don't know if it was Frank Miller, somebody said, the best relationship to have as an artist writer is to be in the same body, something like that. I'm messing it up, but basically is if you can be both the artist and the writer, it's a huge advantage when you're doing a book, when you're doing a comic book. And that's kind of like the way that I work.
Yeah. It's, because I'm just a writer. So, I sit down, I write my scripts or whatever, right? And then I give it off to, whether it be Daphne, that's my wife, she does Tall Tales, or it be my other artist, Jay Gonzalez, and she does the Oswald Chronicles for the most part. And I've told this to Daphne, and I think sometimes she gets mad at me when I tell her. It says, "Yeah, I hand off the scripts, but I rarely ever give back what I want."
I can relate.
Right.
That one time I hired an artist, that happened to me. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but there are many times I get back stuff that I found that was better.
Yeah, that
surprised me.
That's possible.
You understand it? That surprised me, and that I found a lot of enjoyment. That I got a lot of enjoyment from, because now I hand out the scripts, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've done with it. And the thing is, exactly. So it's little things. It's like back in the early days, I handed one of my artists a script. He comes back. I wrote this one character, and he brings him back. I'm thinking it's like he's supposed to be a cop. And I'm just thinking he's going to be some generic white guy, right? He brings it to me, and it's a black man. And I'm like, okay. And that's it. Okay. I was like, that works. I was like, that works. So I'm like, whatever.
It's funny because you can come, like for me, your experience with your artist can happen to me with myself. Like in the thumbnails, I'll be like, yo, that's hot. That's how I want. By the time I get to the pages, I might think of something that's even better than what I have in the thumb. So if I'm blessed and lucky enough, it can happen the other way around. Sometimes I'll be like, damn, I should have just left it the way I had it in the thumbnails. But there are a few times where I'm like, this is better than what I had before. You know what I mean? So I from that element, and like I think when it comes to like this creativity stuff, I don't want to say I'm controlling with it, but I like to kind of, I'm just a firm believer in like the more people involved in like a heist or something, the more possibility for things to go wrong there'll be, and I can't stand that. It drives me nuts. So if I can do all the jobs myself as much as I can, I will. But it's funny. I also do love to collaborate, but it has to be established as a collaborative project. Like I would never tell you, work on my story with me. I would be more like, let's come up with a story we can work on together, more likely than the other way around. You understand?
Mm-hmm. No, I got you. Michael San Martino asked, and don't forget about the postmaster.
All right, I'll have to talk about the postmaster. Joking around at work, we work for the post office full time. That's our day job. We just came up with ways to kill time, and Mike suggested something called the postmaster. It would be like this superhero that I guess he delivers mail by day, and he's like superhero by night, and we just kick back jokes back and forth. And sorry, Mike, that's never gonna happen, buddy. I got a ton of other characters I want to work on. But if you write it, I might do a comic strip. Who knows?
There you go. There you go. So one day, folks, the postmaster.
The postmaster.
That's funny. So I mean, so with Sam and George and Crazy, are you still working with them a little bit, or I mean, I know you said you're handing off something.
I'm kind of now. Well, you know about the whole like when the original Crazy crew we kind of disbanded back in 2007, and me and the guys, me and George and John formed the Moss Media.
Right.
We ran with that for a little while, and that kind of dissolved in a quiet way itself. We haven't produced anything as Moss in a while. Basically, I'm Moss.
Right.
I'm like the artist, the writer, the CEO. Right at the moment, I represent the Moss brand, if you want to call it that. But I do like I've always liked to stay connected with these guys. You know, Sam, when he made his comeback, anytime I see somebody that I'm cool with doing something that I love doing that at the moment maybe I'm not able to do, I'm gonna try to link on however way I can. Like with his current return with the podcast, I've secretly been bringing people on and suggesting people, and bringing people I know a lot of artists. The Cuber School, I have a lot of connections in that area, and whenever I can, I try to get some of my people on there. So yeah, as much as I can, I try to cling on and stay active with them somehow.
All right. Your guy Michael San Martino says, "Nah, you owe it to the idea."
What, the postman?
Yeah.
Postmaster.
The postmaster. Yes.
I'll do a cover if you write a book, Mike.
There you go. So there you go, Mike. He's thrown it down. He's thrown down the challenge. All right. So, all right, that's cool, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to. So, I mean, all right, because like I said, I'm trying to find out what is the next comic project you're going to be working on. Like, what's the next thing? Because I know you're in school and that's where your focus is. But like, let's say right after you get out of school, what's going to be the thing that's be like, yeah, that's it right there. What am I going to jump on?
Well, I've kind of set the ball in motion by, mentally, and now that I'm verbally saying it, linking myself to finishing and completing these scripts. I would love to like just get on one of my own things, and even maybe I know how people feel about the anthologies. I look at it like this. Okay, like I put out 3 anthologies with Moss. And to me, comic books and comic book making is kind of like film. Like you're like a film. You're a filmmaker, producer, director, whatever you want to call it. And right out of the gate, a filmmaker is not going to come out with like an Oscar-winning, great, groundbreaking film. He's going to come out with B movies. Okay, his first few flicks are probably not even going to go into into cinema. They're going to go straight to video. For me, my experience, and I went into it, it's going to sound messed up. I went into it knowing the anthologies were my version of B movies. They were my trial and error stages, my safe ground to say, okay, can I do this? How good am I at that? How does this look when I do it this way? And I feel like I still have a couple of B movies in me. Unfortunately, I'm not like technically where I want to be yet artistically. So I know that, and anything can happen anytime to anyone. You can get lucky. The right people might like your stuff, even though you might think it's crap or whatever. Hey, let's turn this into, the next big thing. I'm a realist. I know that I may have a couple of more B movies before I get to that main one. You know what I mean? And that's me just trucking along. You grow and you develop. And as long as you're aware that you're developing, I think with the time put in, you're bound to hit it,
That's true. Listen, don't knock B movies. I can't even tell you how many B movies
I love
enjoy.
B movies. I love B movies. Dude, I got a collection of B movies in my man cave.
Exactly.
I can't say enough about B movies. You learn from the B movies. That's what they're for. You refer to them to see how things are done and things, and what to do and what not to do. It's educational to me.
Exactly. All right, cool. All right, man. We've been at this for a little while. We're coming close to the end, but we're not there just yet. I got a few more questions for you.
Yeah.
The first question is there anything you wanted to discuss, talk about, or that I like, or any question you wanted me to ask you that I didn't ask you?
Man, let me think. Sheesh, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think I probably just blab everything without you even asking. I'm telling you.
No, that's fine. All right. 2, where can people find Anibal Arroyo online? You and your work.
Well, I'm basically all over social media, mostly Facebook. I'm on there a lot. If you see like I might rant about, the most random things on Facebook. And I try to keep my Instagram more geared towards my artwork, even though lately, I'll put up a personal picture or a meme or whatever. I may take those down. I just wanted to keep it as just my artwork. My Instagram is Arroyicus, my last name, Arroycus, Arroyicus. And yeah, basically those two are like the main things to catch me. That's actually how I get a lot of my commissions. Like I'll post something on social media and boom, somebody will hit me up in the chat and be like, can you do this for me? This and that. So for now, that's it.
All right, cool. Now we're gonna move on to some of my goofy questions.
All right, cool. All
right. So the first one is, see, you're a writer artist, so I gotta so this is gonna go both. Well, we'll go with this. If you had the choice of a writer to work with,
ooh, wow,
who would you want to illustrate a story for?
Man, okay. Let me think here. I've recently gotten into see, my thing with writers, like any creators, authors, I may not read their work, but I'll read and know about them. And I've recently in comics, I've recently become very interested in Neil Gaiman. I looked at a YouTube documentary about him, and he just fascinated me with his take on the Sandman. Like it was very it was just stuff that you think about like when you're stoned or something, but he makes it so good. I can't even explain it. That piqued my interest. So right at this moment, if I had answered, I definitely would say somebody like that. I would love to draw something by him, written by him.
All right, cool. Now, for one of your comics that you're going to eventually put out, who would you want to get to do a guest cover for you, like an alternative cover?
Ooh, that's a good one. Man, there's so many. I like so many styles. I probably would go. Wow, that's a good one. That's a real good one. See, I like the painted stuff, like the Alex Ross realistic paint, but I also like the line work and the heavy, hatching and all that. Right now, you know what? Let's go with my classic, man. Todd, the Todd Father. Come on. Doesn't get any top dog than that, right? Todd Father. Rock out a cover for me, bro.
All right, cool. Todd Father. Nothing wrong with that. Now, if you got the call up, you got the golden ticket, and they called you up to the big companies, and they say, Anibal, any book, any character, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be just Marvel or DC. It could be any of those other companies. What's the book you'd want to write and draw?
Okay. You know what? This is gonna sound egotistical, I guess. I probably would go with my very own character and insert him into the universe that's already established. Like, say he'd be like a perfect fit with maybe like I said, like he's like a Lobo type. It's him right here. I probably would try to write him into that universe and just see how he would gel with those established characters. That would be me. Like I've never really wanted to draw for, the big two. I wanted to see how I compared art-wise, but that's never really been my thing. I would probably focus on one of my many characters just to see them out there and see how the public would react to them.
All right, cool. That's fair. Now, I got some comparatives. Now, you already answered this one for me, so I won't ask you Godzilla versus Gamera.
Yeah, I'm a
Godzilla guy. Poor Gamera, the damn turtle.
Godzilla.
It's okay. Look. Let's see if we can see it. A very tiny Gamera.
Oh, Godzilla have a feast with that guy, man. He'll chop all over.
It's tiny. All right. So I'll hit you up with this one.
Sure.
Well, we'll do this. Well, this one I always ask everybody: Captain America or Batman?
Batman.
Okay, fair. Marvel or DC?
Okay, see, Marvel comics, DC cartoons. That's kind of the way I grew up. Like I never read DC comics, but I watched all their cartoons. Then I read Marvel comics.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Stan Lee or Jack Kirby?
Damn. See, I was very familiar with Stan from the time I was like a wee boy.
Mhm.
But when I got to know about Kirby, I was like, damn, he's just like, an unsung hero.
Mhm.
And I, personality wise, I'm definitely more like Kirby, and I'm more like reserved and about the work. I'm not that, the face of comics kind of personality, so I can't relate to Stan on that level. But speaking on just, the guy the go-to guy with comics, I definitely got to go with Stan.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Byrne or Perez?
God damn. All right. This is not that hard, actually. I never read much done by Perez. I heard about him. I heard how, the Avengers were. I read a lot of Byrne work, a lot of X-Men, even some of my DC stuff. The Batman stuff was John Byrne. John Byrne for sure.
Okay. Fair
I've
enough.
heard he's not a nice guy, though. I think I heard you say that, or a guest of yours one time spoke about working with him, and he wasn't a very likable person. But whatever.
John Byrne. All right. I'm gonna tell you this story. It's a story I told a couple of times already. I gotta tell it in defense of Mr. Byrne. All right. So,
Okay.
A number of years ago, probably sometime in the mid '90s, we
Right.
drove down. Me and the guys and my wife. We drove down to Pittsburgh Comic Con.
Okay.
We got there. John Byrne was signing. We didn't know he was gonna be there.
Okay.
My driver and one of my artists I was working with, huge fans, huge. So my artist, he just finished the second issue of Dreamweavers. He was very proud of it. Looks fantastic. Grabs a copy. Him and the driver, they head on over, and he goes. They wait online, and he hands the copy to John Byrne, and he said, "Mr. Byrne, I just drew this, and I just wanted to give you a copy. So I'm a huge fan." And John Byrne says, it looks through it. He says, "Wow, this is really nice. Give him a nice compliment." He asked him to sign it. He signed it, gave it to Mr. Byrne. Byrne asked him, he says, "Do you guys have anything for me to sign?" They were like, "Oh no, we drove in from New York City. We didn't even know you were gonna be here." And he was like, "Oh, okay, don't even worry about it." He reaches underneath his table, pulls out a case of books, pulls out 2 books. It was his like the first issue of his run on the Fantastic Four. Nice. He said a dealer had just given him an entire case of them. Wow. Right? So he pulls out 2 copies. He signs one. He signs both of them. Hands it to the guys. I've never seen 2 men float like that back to the table. I mean, they were floated. Those 2 guys. So yeah, John Byrne has his bad days, but I'm telling you, he has some good ones.
Yeah.
So I always say that in defense of Mr. Byrne.
Right. I always like to judge, folks on my own experience. I've never met them, but yeah, it's just something I had heard you guys talk about.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's one of those things. It's one of those things because I've heard like one group of guys is like, look, he has his good days, he has his bad days.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It happens.
Exactly. But when he has his bad days, I would just say just avoid him. That's it. Just avoid him. Just stay away. All right. Superman or Batman?
Jeez. Gotta go with my man Bats.
Okay. The planner. All right. Fair enough. Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Ooh, you guys are gonna, freak about this one. Like, I can't really say I'm into either. I know more about Star Wars. Okay. So I guess I'll go with Star Wars, but I'm not like, it's funny for a self-proclaimed, comic geek and all that kind of stuff never really appealed to me. Like I'm like, should I turn in my geek card here?
You have to revoke that sucker.
I really don't know too much about it,
That's funny. You have to revoke that geek card. So let me hit you up with this one. Kirk or Picard?
Oh man, I never watched the show. I know it's Star Trek, but I think I see maybe like one. I heard the legends of Captain Kirk, and William Shatner as a personality is funny as hell. Mm-hmm. I would have to go with Captain Kirk, I guess.
All right, cool. Comics or trade paperbacks?
Oh man, anybody that knows me. I'm about that trade paperback, man. I like to have it right there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you this one, but we'll see. Buffy or Supernatural?
Oh, bro, I love both.
Okay.
I own like seasons 1 and 2 of Buffy on DVD. And Supernatural, I just finished watching up until Corona thing, the pandemic, the season 15. I'm waiting to see when they're gonna pick up the remainder for the final season. Yeah, I love both.
Right.
I would have to go right now. Supernatural.
Mhm.
I'd have
Okay,
to
fair
say,
enough.
yeah.
So you're more of a horror fan.
Horror, monsters, yeah, things like that.
Okay, cool. Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers?
I like Jason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead?
Walking Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Pinhead or Freddy Krueger?
Damn. I like Freddy. Pinhead's cool. He looks really cool in it. But Freddy just has those one-liners.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. We've done a few of these already. We'll do a couple more and then we'll wrap up.
Sure.
All right. I think I've only asked this one once before. Werewolf or vampire?
Wow. See, right now, I just started watching the Vampire Diaries, and initially I was like, "This is just too girly. It's like too soap opera-ish."
Mm-hmm.
But it won me over, so I'm gonna have to go with vampires.
Okay. Cool. Now here's one for you. I don't know how familiar you're with either one of these two gentlemen, but I'm asking this one. Bernie Wrightson or Barry Windsor Smith?
Oh, I know them both. I love Wrightson, man. Like that line work is just that Frankenstein book. I could look at those pages over and over again, man. It's just, how did he do that? You know what I mean? How much time did it take to render that stuff? It's amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, bro. We made it to the end.
All right.
So please, one more time, let everybody know where they can find you and find your work.
I'm on Facebook, Anibal Arroyo, Anibal Tocayo Arroyo, because I have an uncle named Anibal Arroyo as well. Don't confuse us. And on Instagram, I'm at Arroyicus.
There you go. So please check out Hannibal, and check out his work. Hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, and I'll be seeing all you guys real soon. Thank you so much for being here. Go check out the Oswald Chronicles on Indiegogo, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.